Okay, so today we learned about graphing sine and cosine functions with a period change. So remember, the general equation of a sine function is, general equation is y equals a, that's the amplitude, times sine of b x minus h plus k. So A is amplitude, B is your angular frequency, H is your horizontal shift, and K is your vertical shift. So let's do an example. Say it's y equals sine of 2x minus pi over 2 plus 1. Okay? So the way you graph sine and cosine functions with a period change works exactly the same way as you've been learning how to graph sine and cosine functions. And the first step is to label your x-axis. So label x-axis. So let's just draw our graph over here. Okay. So that'll be where our graph is. So the way you label axes is first you set whatever is inside the parentheses equal to 0. So 2x minus pi over 2 equals 0. You solve for x. So you're going to get 2x equals pi over 2 by adding pi over 2 to both sides. And then you're going to divide both sides by 2. So flip and multiply. This becomes 1. Then this becomes pi over 2 times 1/2. Remember, we're dividing, we flip and multiply. The reciprocal of 2 is 1/2, and then we multiply. So that is pi over 4. And x equals pi over 4, that's our starting point. So that's where we're going to start. So let's mark pi over 4. Okay? There's our starting point. Okay. After that, you need to find your delta x. So delta x is the length of each segment of your tick marks. Alright? And remember, we get delta x by taking period divided by 4. Period divided by 4. Remember what we learned about angular frequency and period? So let's make a little note up here. Remember, period times angular frequency is equal to 2 pi, which means that period is equal to 2 pi over your angular frequency. So in this case, our angular frequency is 2. So B equals 2. Therefore, period equals 2 pi over 2, which is just equal to pi. So our delta x is equal to pi over 4. That means each tick mark is going to be pi over 4 radians long. So then let's go to our next pi over 4. So we have pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, which is just equal to pi over 2, and then 3 pi over 4, and then 4 pi over 4, which is just pi. So this is pi over 2 also, and this is pi. And then 5 pi over 4. So we have our 4 sections. Remember, we want 4 different sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so that's the first step, labeling our x-axis. Our second step is then our box. We have to make our box. So we do that is first we find our midline, which is k. So midline equals k. In this case, k equals 1. So midline equals k equals 1. So we label our midline over here. 1. let's label our midline. Then we have to find the upper bounds of our box. And the upper and lower bounds of our box. And the way we do that is we find the amplitude, the absolute value. So amplitude is the absolute value of A. And in this case, A is just equal to 1. So our amplitude is 1. Okay? That means our highest point is 1 unit away from our midline. So 1 unit above our midline is our highest bounds, our upper bounds. And then 1 unit below our midline is our lower bound. Okay. Because remember, the amplitude is the distance of the highest point from the midline and the distance of the lowest point from the midline. Okay, so this is a positive function, so we just keep our pattern the same. We don't flip it across the x-axis. So our third step is our dots. So this is sine, so the pattern of our dots goes middle. So a starting point, remember our starting point is a pi over 4. So our starting point, the graph of sine starts at the middle, and then it goes up, middle, down, middle. Okay, so there's our graph. And let's connect our graphs. Remember, graphs are continuous, so you got to show me that with arrows. Okay? And that's how you graph sine and cosine with a period change.